Hello there, Pete Haskins here with another video on this Esoteric Circle YouTube channel. Great having you with me, and I'm just so excited about this 10th video and just connecting with you all. Wonderful comments that we're getting. So excited about this, and it's really resonating with many of us, this study of Gnosticism and the things that were left out of Christianity are amazing to me. So we're going to be examining some of that and really calling to task the role of the church and how it almost obliterated Gnosticism from the history. But it did not, because we have a discovery in December of 1945 by a guy named Muhammad Ali, not the Muhammad Ali, but a peasant who discovered these texts, and some of them survived. Some of them were burned in the fire to keep their family warm, but some of them survived and got into the black market, and we have them. We're going to be talking about some of these discoveries in this book today. Elaine Pagel's awesome book, which is where I started out discovering Gnosticism. So thank you to Elaine Pagels for doing this classic book. So anyway, grab a cup of joe, and just great having you with me. One of the major influences on my life was a guy I never met. By the time I heard of him, he had passed away, Joseph Campbell. And I remember the Bill Moyers video series that he did in 1988, I believe it came out, and it just was a huge popular hit there on PBS, and still is. So what Joseph Campbell was talking about resonated with me, and it resonated with me because of the Gnostic overtones. And the title of this book, which is one of my favorites, The Inner Reaches of Outer Space, pretty much says it all in terms of the connection with Gnosticism, that there is access that any of us have to the cosmos, to God, to consciousness. It's all within us. And this book really just blew me away. And I remember reading this book, this actual copy, and I still have, I still got it all marked up. But I remember reading this in a little cafe. Well, actually, it was a soda fountain back in Columbus, Indiana, called Zahariko's. And it was a Greek soda fountain where they served meals and great ice cream and sodas and milkshakes and all this stuff. And there was a woman in there. Her name was Anne Zahariko. She was the owner. And she was an Orthodox Christian. And she and I connected. And I just wanted to remember her today in this video, because she was very similar to Charles Ashton from the Orthodox tradition. She was clairvoyant and was just such a sweet spirit for me. And this book always reminds me of Anne Zahariko there at Zahariko's, which has been bought by someone else and is still functioning and doing very well in Columbus, Indiana. So if you're ever in Columbus, visit Zahariko's on Main Street. But this idea that everything is available to us is a radical idea, and it got a lot of people killed, and it is a revolutionary idea. The reason it is a revolutionary idea is because it threatens the authority of the church, plain and simple. Now, Pagel's in this 6th chapter here, entitled Gnosis, Self-Knowledge as Knowledge of God, talks about how maybe this Muhammad Ali found the Nag Hammaddi text. Basically, he found this. This Gnostic Bible is almost all of it is the find that this guy made in terms of all these lost Gnostic Gospels, Gnostic writings, which had been obliterated. Not all of them. And she writes this, that The scholar Frederick Wyss, W-I-S-S-E, has suggested that the monks who lived at the monastery of St. Pachomius, within sight of the cliff where the texts were found, may have included the Nag Hammaddi texts within their devotional library. But in the year 367, when Athanasius, the powerful archbishop of Alexandria, sent an order to purge all, quote, apocryphal books with heretical tendencies, one or several of the monks may have hidden these precious manuscripts in the jar and buried it on the cliff of Jabal Tarif, where Muhammad Ali found it 1,600 years later. So the church at this time, had just formed, and we've got the actual formation of the church as the key to the Holy Roman Empire. It was the official religion of the Holy Roman Empire. So that was in 312 when that battle, Milvan Bridge, occurred, and the fact that by the year 367 you've got this order by this Archbishop of Alexandria, who sent this order to purge all this because it was the Gnostics were threatening the authority of the church. And why is that? One of the main reasons why is because of revelation. It's because of the idea of revelation. Who gets to be the receiver of this knowledge? Now, the Gnostics are saying that the origin of sin is ignorance, gnosis. It's the ignorance. So we gain knowledge, we get out of sin. Whereas the Orthodox Christians, the Orthodox meaning that's a small o, the Christians in the early church, were saying it is because of our need, our sinful nature, our moral shortcomings that we need God. And we need an outside source to come into our life and help save us. And this outside source is grace, right? Grace of God that comes into us. And the Gnostics are saying, no. Everything that I need is within me. Valentinus especially was one that didn't necessarily have to throw away the church, but he was able to work within the church. And let me read this part here on page 123 of Elaine Pagel's. Many Gnostics then would have agreed in principle with Ludwig Feuerbach, the 19th century psychologist, that, quote, theology is really anthropology. The term derives, of course, from anthropos and means study of humanity. For Gnostics, exploring the psyche became explicitly what it is for many people today, implicitly, a religious quest. Here we are. Let me read that sentence again. For Gnostics, exploring the psyche became explicitly what it is for many people today, implicitly, a religious quest. Some who seek their own interior direction, like the radical Gnostics, reject religious institutions as a hindrance to their progress. Others, like the Valentinians, willingly participate in them, although they regard the church more as an instrument of their own self-discovery than as the necessary ark of salvation. See, Ireneus and these guys that purged, and Athanasius who purged the Gnostics, basically believed this, that without the church there is no salvation. They said basically, you come through us. You've got to come through the priests, the deacons, the bishops, the pope. You had to go through the church in order to get salvation, and it was a pipeline. It was a funnel, and it was power, and it was control. And that was why the Gnostics really aggravated the early church fathers. Not necessarily Cappadocian fathers, but this sense that, no, you've got to come through. And the Gnostics are saying, no, I've got all this within me. Oh, I love this stuff. Now, Pagels goes on to say, many Gnostics, on the contrary, insisted that ignorance, not sin, is what involves a person in suffering. The Gnostic movement shared certain affinities with contemporary methods of exploring the self through psychotherapeutic techniques. Both Gnosticism and psychotherapy value above all knowledge, the self-knowledge which is insight. They agree that lacking this, a person experiences the sense of being driven by impulses he does not understand. So this is where I'm excited about this, because basically the Gnostics are tapping in to psychotherapy, our modern view of psychotherapy. And how healthy is that, to realize that if you are going to discover what makes you tick, you have to know you, and you have to go inward, and that's what the fourth way teachings talk about. And that is what mystical Orthodox Christianity talks about, the religion of that Robin Amos taught me and Charles Ashton taught me, that when you go inward via the Jesus prayer, you are going to discover why you have anger, why you have fear, why you have these trepidations, why you have trouble sleeping. And all that we have to say to that in our modern age is what? How about some Xanax? How about some drugs? Just how about a drink? How about some type of drug just to forget it? And just move on, just move on. Don't dig deep. Let's just move on. Whereas the Gnostics are saying the universe is a prison and the earth is that dungeon, and we are stuck, and we are having to awaken to the fact that we are here. And then when we awaken, that's just the opening skirmish in this huge war, because we have to get out of the dungeon. And we have to get out of this prison that we're in. And by awakening this, we gain knowledge, and we are understanding the labyrinth that we are in. And we are understanding that we have to weave our way out of this darkness. It's like we are in a cave. It's like we are in a cave which is so dark, there's no way we can see, and we have to grope, and we have to find our way. And along the way, we have allies. Along the way, we have someone with a torch. Along the way, we have a companion. Along the way, we have someone that says, hey, I get that. I really don't fit in either. And along the way, you have someone who says, you know what? I'm not really interested in what the church has to say. I'm not really interested in bowing down to church doctrine. I'm not really interested in saying to you, oh, please let me in. You are saying everything that I need is all within me. And all I have to do is search. Pagel says this, page 126. How or where is one to seek self-knowledge? Many Gnostics share with psychotherapy a second major premise. Both agree against Orthodox Christianity that the psyche bears within itself the potential for liberation or destruction. Few psychiatrists would disagree with the saying attributed to Jesus in the Gospel of Thomas, quote, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. You know, it's just amazing, this idea that everything that you have, all of your problems are right in front of you. All of the answers to all of these problems are also right in front of you. And all you have to do is search. All you have to do. And that's what the Gnostics are saying, especially like the Valentinians. This idea that it is all with here, and you don't have to leave the church, which I'm not. I'm a United Church of Christ pastor. But what you do is you say to someone, wake up. That's what I did in the jail when I was working with folks who were in recovery from addictions. Wake up. I did this this entire time. Wake up. And it's a Gnostic idea that we are slumbering, we're sleeping, we're drunk. We're all just here just wasting our time, when we could actually be awakening to the fact that we have an illumination waiting for us. We have this revelation waiting for us. And Christ reveals this to us. And Christ says to us, now you take it. It's not just, Christ just says, depend on me and just ask for mercy, ask for grace, ask for all this. The Gnostics are saying something very radical. No wonder the early church despised them, because it was a threat to the power of these men, not women, because the Gnostics were very open to women. But the side that won, the side that got us to where we're at today, was dominated by men. And these men said, no, this is not how it's going to happen. And they oppressed the Gnostics. And one of the wonderful teachings, and it's within that Marvin Meyer compilation of the Gnostic Bible, is this idea that we are here waiting to awaken to our purpose. And our purpose is to be liberated from this bondage that we are in. There is a sense that this is a deep, deep struggle that we all have, and it is a lifelong struggle. And there is no quick fix. There's no cold shower or ice bath or drug or book that you can read to all of a sudden just have perfect moral and spiritual health, that it's just all over. This way can be very lonely, and it can be very tough. The teacher Silvanus, whose teachings were discovered at Nag Hammaddi, Elaine Pagel writes, encourage his followers to resist unconsciousness. He says, Silvanus writes, in the sleep which weighs heavy upon you, depart from the oblivion which fills you with darkness. Why do you pursue the darkness, though the light is available for you? Wisdom calls you, yet you desire foolishness. A foolish man goes the ways of the desire of every passion. He swims in the desires of life and has foundered. He is like a ship which the wind tosses to and fro, like a loose horse which has no rider. For this one needed the rider, which is reason. Before everything else, know yourself. She writes, the Gospel of Thomas also warns that self-discovery involves inner turmoil. Jesus said, let him who seeks continue seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will become troubled. When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished, and he will rule over all things. What is the source of the light discovered within, she says? Like Freud, who professed to follow the light of reason, most Gnostic sources agreed that the lamp of the body is the mind. Silvanus, the teacher, says, bring in your guide and your teacher. The mind is the guide, but reason is the teacher. Live according to your mind. Acquire strength, for the mind is strong. Enlighten your mind. Light the lamp within you. Pagel writes, so according to the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus ridiculed those who thought of the kingdom of God in literal terms, as if it were a specific place. Quote, if those who lead you say to you, look, the kingdom is in the sky, then the birds will arrive there before you. If they say to you, it is in the sea, then he says the fish will arrive before you. Instead, It is a state of self-discovery. Jesus says in the Gospel of Thomas, rather, the kingdom is inside you, and it is outside of you. When you come to know yourselves, then you will be known, and you will realize that you are the sons of the living Father. But if you will not know yourselves, then you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty. I just find that just so encouraging. In other words, you have a sense of control over this. And I mean that not in a possessive way. But you don't need to go anywhere. Everything is within you. It is all about your effort. And if you're willing to put in that effort day after day, and you are willing to pray and use the Jesus prayer and search your hearts and use the Jesus prayer to help discern what is happening to you. Pray in the morning. Pray before you go to bed. Use the Jesus prayer while you're at work, while you're at the grocery store. Be sure and taper off your use of social media, particular things like Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook in particular. And funnel yourself, direct yourself, your attention and your efforts into this self-discovery. Find out who you are and realize that it's all there within you. This enlightenment, this awakening is here for you. And there are people out there who are willing to say to you, yes, let's do this together. But ultimately, it is on you. And if you're willing to put in that effort, then the heavens will open up for you. And you will have a peace that passes all understanding. And it will be a sense of unity that is all yours. It's not the church, it's not a minister, it's not anybody else telling you that this is the way to go and you are forgiven. It will be a hard-earned unification of all your fractured selves. That the Fourth Way and Ouspensky, and Gurdjieff, Moraviev, Robin Amos, Ted Nottingham, Charles Ashton, Rebecca Nottingham, all of them talk about in their writings. And if we are going to make it out of this prison, and if we're going to make it out of this dungeon, and we're going to move on, and we're going to move past this flesh, which we sometimes almost feel trapped in, which is holding us down. If we're going to make it past that and realize that there is an entire universe out there beyond what we can sense, we are trapped in this flesh. We are trapped in this place. And when you see that, when you realize that, and when you're awakened to this fact that we are here, we are stuck, I just want you to understand that there is a world beyond what we see here. And it is a glorious world where there is life that teems with vibrance. And it is such a wonderful reality that we just can't see while we're here. But it is there. I know it's there. I know there's a life past this one. And I know that this is a dark place. And if you're in a dark place, and if you're lonely, and you feel isolated, I want you to know that there are others out there who care for you, and you are going to make it. And when you have doubts, go to God. When you have doubts, say the Jesus prayer. When you have doubts, open up the book of the Gospel of John. Open up the Bible and cling to this knowledge that you are going to make it, and that everything that you need is already within you. You're going to be okay. We're going to make it together. And this world will not have the final say. God has the final say, and God is within us. Blessings to you, my friend. See you soon.